Welcome back, RealTalkTwinCities.com. I'm Eric Pirius with Bell Mortgage, along with
Cheryl Kempenick, Coldwell Banker Burnett.
we are your friends and colleagues in all things real estate here every Sunday for you. You can reach out to us at RealTalkTwinCities.com. Take advantage of any of our resources. We are here to help you. We're looking forward to our guests in this segment. Leadership Enterprise Group with Kevin Hartzell. Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you.
All right. Also, we've got Ask the Expert coming up later, Mortgage Minute, a little more mortgage news, some things you're really going to want to find out. And coming up very soon, we're going to have your myth versus reality. All right, myth. What do you think it is?
I am just anxious to find out.
Are you?
What's
okay.
the myth?
All right, I won't keep you waiting. It's quite exciting. Most folks say if you don't put 20% down, you got to pay mortgage insurance, right? You guys heard of that?
Oh yeah, I've heard that.
No? Kevin? Yes, Kevin's nodding. Okay, our in-studio guests are nodding. All right. Well, that's not true.
It's not?
No.
It's a myth.
It's a myth. It's a myth. You can pay mortgage insurance. That's one way to do it, and sometimes that makes sense, and that's the right thing to do. However, the reality is you can ask the seller to pay your mortgage insurance, and we do that by using upfront mortgage insurance, which is a one-time lump sum fee paid at closing, and you're done.
Excellent. And I am available to help any buyer work that out. So I can negotiate with the sellers, get that mortgage insurance premium paid for upfront, and Eric can get the loan done, saving you money.
That's right. And then you don't have it monthly. Most people think, I have mortgage insurance. It's $95 a month. It could be worse. I'll get rid of it someday. Little do most folks know, but you can also do it in that upfront one-time lump sum and not have it monthly. There are just also no MI programs. We can do 95% financing. In other words, 5% down with no MI, period. So that's available as well. And 80-10-10, which simply means that you can put 10% down, have a 10% second, and then go to 80% on your first, and thereby you avoid the mortgage insurance. Our piggyback buster is also available, as we call it, and so there's at least 3 or 4 ways to either not have it at all, get someone else to pay for it. So there you go. That's the reality to the myth.
Love it. We're always looking for ways to help you maximize
right.
your gain. Okay, so here we go. Kevin Hartzell, co-founder of Leadership Enterprise Group and author of Leading from the Ice. And Tom Murray, our good friend and Kevin's friend as well. Welcome, guys.
Morning. Good morning.
So let's start out with Kevin. Give us a little bit of your background and tell us a little bit about your mentors.
Well, my background grew up in St. Paul, Minnesota, and I was fortunate to be involved, I think, in a close, tight community of Rice Street. And I had a lot of mentors from my father. I didn't understand it as a young person, as many of us don't. And then I was fortunate to play hockey for people like Doug Woog and Herb Brooks and work for Hubbard's, and I could go on and on. I've been involved with a lot of really great people, which is what motivated me to write the book, to talk about what these leaders do, what they have in common, and some of how we applied it to some of the hockey teams we coached, where Tom and I got to know each other in Sioux Falls, and really how all of us can put those fundamentals to work.
Yeah, and both Eric and I were lucky enough to be able to read the book. And Tom, you and Maggie have been good friends of Randy and mine for many, many years. Randy did want me to just congratulate you on moving up to the C level of racquetball. So
Thanks, Cheryl. Please thank Randy.
Yeah, I will do that.
I think he's actually B. I've seen him play.
You think he's up to B?
Yeah, I do.
Oh my gosh, B plus, good, good. Okay, well, I know you guys have got that whole racquetball thing that goes back for many, many years as well. Tom, how did you get to know Kevin?
Well, Cheryl, I guess you could say I'm a hockey nut, super fan. I enjoyed hockey all my life, growing up in Chicago, watching the Blackhawks. But I was working in healthcare in Sioux Falls, and in Sioux Falls we have the Sioux Falls Stampede, a USHL team. Well, this Kevin Hartzell guy was behind the bench and took in a few games and liked what I saw. He was a great coach, motivated his players. And then I found out that the guy plays racquetball. So there was an in right there. We became good friends, and that friendship has only grown through the years. You could say I'm one of the family and friends that have encouraged him, kept encouraging him to write the book, and he finally wrote the book. And then he was nice enough to let me review chapter by chapter over the last few years. So
And you actually came up with the title of the book, Leading from the Ice.
that's right. I thought about leading from behind the bench or leading from behind, but that was already taken. So I thought leading from the ice was the way to go with that.
Well, and it's really exciting. I know, Kevin, I met you before I actually read the book. And, you know, I was really impressed with you as a person. You're really easy to talk to, super nice guy. When I picked up the book, I was really concerned that, oh boy, hockey, because, you know, I'm not a huge sports fan, but truly loved the book and learned a lot about leadership in my own business. Eric, what were your thoughts as you read the book?
Well, one thing, I didn't know that the Hubbards were so involved in hockey.
Well, you know, Mr. Hubbard and really all the Hubbards have played the game.
Right.
And of course, I have the story in there about how I met the Hubbards and how I first was hired by them to be a hockey coach, and then my 16 years with them, not only as a hockey coach, but in the TV sales world. And I just find them to be some of the best people I've ever known.
Right.
Not just from a business standpoint, but from a human standpoint. They're great people.
And Tom, you mentioned, you know, leading from behind or leading from the bench, and I think that ties into the servant leader kind of archetype. You know, that's something I picked up on was, you know, when we think of a leader, you kind of get this image of, you know, somebody that's standing tall and, you know, muscular and maybe has a sword or something. And yet the most successful true leaders are really facilitators that listen. Is that?
Well, I'm going to go right back to the Hubbards. I've never met anybody, any group of people that listen better. And it was apparent to me from the very first moment I met them. They surround themselves with great people and they listen. And I think we've all learned a few truths in our life, I suppose. And I think I've learned a couple myself. And one of my truths that I try to relay to my kids or anybody I talk to is that the more I learn, every time I open a door to knowledge, whatever that sphere of knowledge is, I realize how little I know. You know, whatever, we've all been there. You know, you guys are doing a show right here today because you like to share knowledge with people. Every time you learn something, I think everybody can relate to that. You learn something new about something and you go, oh my God, there's so many things about that subject matter I have no idea. People like the Hubbards know that they don't know. So they hire people in different walks of life or different skill sets, whether it's got to do with accounting and counting money and how it should be spent to sales or to whatever it happens to be. And they are the most humble people. And again, that's why you surround yourself with people with knowledge in other areas. But then you have to listen.
You know, one other thing as I was reading the book is, and after meeting you, and again thinking, okay, it's going to be a hockey book, your writing style it's just tremendous. It's so interesting, so I loved that. And then I didn't realize that your education, like Herb Brooks, is in psychology.
Right.
And I think that all ties into leadership, listening, analyzing what's going on around you, and being able to pick out leaders that you want to surround yourself with.
Well, I do tell a story in there how young Stan first observed me, and obviously knowing leadership, and I say in the book that it takes one to know one. He saw something in me, and I was a young guy when they first hired me, and I think a lot of people are like, what are you doing? You just bought this hockey franchise, and they're going to hire a young guy who's really not very proven, but they saw some kind of leadership qualities, I think, in me. And to the book, I would say, fortunately or unfortunately, it looks like a hockey book. You know, it's got hockey on the cover, there's hockey in there, obviously. It's, you know, the themes surround themselves with hockey, but I would argue it's not a hockey book. It's really the fundamentals of leadership and how it works, and it's really not very complicated when you look at what Herb Brooks did or what Stan Hubbard does or what we tried to do in Sioux Falls with our players. It's not complex, really.
And talk about the success you had. I mean, these principles that you discovered on your own and applied, and that translated into success in junior hockey. And specifically, what did you achieve there?
Well, I think the thing I'm most proud of when I look back on our hockey career, or my coaching career, and Tom knows this, and that was one of the reasons we wanted to write the book, was we went and took leadership as a not a concept, but we focused on it in Sioux
Sure.
Falls, and we were able to nurture triple the number of Division I NCAA captains of any other program in America. And I didn't really know about the success we're having until one of our other friends, Jimmy Olander, who was our Vice President of Communications in Sioux Falls, came in one day and says, Hartzell, do you realize this year you have 9 captains in college hockey? And college is not a very big, I think 60 some teams. And I was like, wow. And I thought that could never be achieved again, only to find the next year we had 15. And so what we were doing and how we were nurturing our within our leadership program was obviously making an impact.
And that's quite an accomplishment. You're also very gracious and complimentary to all of the mentors that have influenced you in your book. And I think that's really rewarding to point them out and mention them and give them the accolades they deserve for mentoring you as well. So,
But I think that comes from being around leaders, because they know they can't do it themselves. They're never going to do it themselves. And I don't know, I wouldn't call it gracious. I tell my players when I coach them, just listen to the NHL player after the game. And they'll say, geez, you had this great game, or you scored the big goal. And the player will invariably say, yeah, but so-and-so, really had to go do this kind of, dig the puck out of the corner, and then they passed it to so-and-so, and I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. And I said, they're really not being humble. They just know what really went on, and that their success was dependent upon a lot of other people.
That's right. Thank you. And we'll be back with more from Leadership Enterprise Group with Tom and Kevin. Our Ask the Expert Mortgage Minute. When we come back, a Real Talk Twin Cities, AM 1280, The Patriot.